The Time Warrior may have been the first time we saw the Doctor encounter the Sontarans on screen, but he evidently already knows them from that encounter with Lynx. And so, through Big Finish, we have The Sontarans, an early adventure starring Peter Purves and Jean Marsh, written by Simon Gurrier, set during the Daleks' master plan while they're on the run with the Terranium Core, where the Doctor first encounters these clone warriors who are already known to Stephen and Sarah. So he's the one playing catch up this time. And certainly there's a lot of future to be had with these monsters and the Doctor. He will encounter them many times over the years, but this is the first encounter. This is the Sontarans.
And arguably the Sontarans are the most brutal, very much like Field Major Steyer, examining and torturing to get any bit of information possible.
There's a wonderful psychology to the Sontarans in this one. It's a brilliant approach Simon Gurrier has taken that is very 60s. It's very similar to the way the Daleks were treated in their first story, exploring their xenophobia towards the Files. This is exploring how they are a race bred for war. They can't think of anything else but war. They don't see anything in terms of anything other than their military value, really. And so they're trying to learn more about the human race, but they're struggling with that through their psychoanalysis of them because they can't think beyond anything tactical, really, which I think is fascinating. And you've got other bits going on in there as well, which we shan't spoil, which very much interestingly presents the psychology of the Sontarans, really. It's very much what this is about.
And this, this story is just one big constant action movie, isn't it, really? It's a game of cat and mouse.
Yeah, it feels very right for the 60s. At first you might think First Doctor and Sontarans, that feels a bit off. But then you do remember, Second Doctor met the Sontarans during the Two Doctors.
Mm-hmm.
And here they are very well written as 60s style villains. It doesn't stand out as something from a different era crashing into a previous one. They do feel very right for this in the way that they are written. Like I say, with that psychological approach, comparing to the Daleks in the Daleks. But also, the action-adventure style of this feels very Terry Nation. There's an episode called The Descent, which feels very similar to, the... what is that episode of the Daleks called? The infamous one. The Expedition.
Yes.
Or that's not quite the infamous one, is it? That's episode 6. Expedition's episode 5. But you know what I'm getting at. Yeah, it's sort of taking that approach to it, which I really rate. It is very much a Sontaran story written by Terry Nation, which again makes sense because it's set during the Daleks' master plan. So it feels very true to the era in that sense.
And they, much like the Daleks, the Sontarans feel unstoppable, but it takes multiple security force people to take them down.
I mean, yeah, also the Space Security Service are in this. Sarah Kingdom's group of people, or former group by this point, because she's abandoned that way of life in favour of helping the Doctor and Stephen.
And this is a great story for Sarah, really. I think it really sort of fleshes her out. Because she has, the foresight with events, because this is part of her history.
Yeah, she gets to be a very strong military figure, doesn't she? Or security figure, I suppose. She gets to use a lot of that training. Whereas in the Daleks Master Plan itself, she sort of starts with that, but then very quickly falls into the typical companion role in many ways. Here, it sort of gets to be true to those strong origins of the character. And meanwhile, Stephen, I think, also gets treated very well.
Yeah, see,
well,
he really...
Not physically.
No,
he goes through a pretty strong ordeal here.
That's what I was gonna say. He really shines in the interrogation scenes, and they've done a beautiful video trailer for this, which I'm sure is playing over the review of this, so you can see what we mean. But yeah, it's a really great stuff, and I think this really sort of cements Peter Purves as one of the great you know, actors to work for Big Finish, and cement Stephen as probably my favorite first Doctor companion.
Mm. I mean, not only that, but Peter's also voicing the Doctor himself in this
Mm,
and doing a pretty remarkable job with that impersonation as well. Like, he's very much captured the character, really, hasn't he?
yeah, it's quite interesting listening to the behind the scenes how they've become more and more challenging for him because they know he can do it, and I think this story really has that great sort of one-on-one dialogue between Doctor Stephen.
Yeah, he's having to bounce between the two, isn't he? I don't
Mm,
know. I know Fraser, when he did Jamie and the second Doctor at the same time, he would do it as one take. I don't know
yeah,
whether the same was true for Peter.
I imagined so.
Mhm. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. But yeah, there's certainly an electric energy, and it is capturing the dynamic between those two characters very well, even though it's just the one actor playing both.
Mm,
And certainly early on, they do get quite a few scenes together. But yeah, not only that, there certainly was an attempt in like the first series of the early adventures to push the Doctor into the background much more, give William Hartnell as many holidays as they could.
yes,
Whereas here, they've sort of, this is Big Finish becoming more accepting of recasts, even if it's a different kind of recast, isn't it? When it's the a companion actor voicing the Doctor,
yes, yeah,
but nevertheless, you can tell there's a confidence with Peter's acting as the first Doctor here that allows the character to feel more true to how they were on screen rather than feel like a passing through character in some ways that they do in particularly series one of the early adventures.
yeah. I think it's got some great little Hartnell moments, especially leading to the second episode. Well, no, I think in the actual second episode when he's sort of pretending to be dead, but thinking of a way to
Yeah,
get out.
during their descent, which again feels very Terry Nation.
Yes,
Yeah, Planet of the Daleks vibes, that one, which not
yeah, that's
exactly
what I
60s
thought.
story, but yeah,
But
it's
it's
got,
Terry
you know
Nation's
what?
greatest hit, isn't it? Planet of the
Mm.
Daleks, so it all counts.
Yeah. I mean, it's that sequence in Planet of the Daleks is very much a homage to another sequence in the Daleks, so
Hmm.
it all comes around in some way or another. Yeah. I mean, I just really enjoy this story. There's something wonderful about all early adventures, I feel.
There's a magic to it, and I think
Mm.
it's arranged that we champion a lot. Going, this is a sort of a go-to throwback range.
Mm.
It's comfort. It's a comfort listen. It's like a nice sort of comfort soul food. Old
Mm.
pair of slippers.
Yeah. I mean, again, you've got the narration throughout this,
Hmm.
which helps to enhance it even more. Like, there's moments of prose, really, that give you a brief little insight into what the character's thinking. Like, there's moments where we're getting almost an inner monologue from Stephen as he witnesses Sarah and another space security soldier, just having each other's backs, really. And you sort of get his
Yeah,
thoughts on their comradeship
I'm
and,
getting
how,
jealous over it.
yeah, getting jealous of not having that same comfort because, he's not trained in the same way that they are.
Hmm.
Uh, and quite a few wonderful moments like that throughout. I mean, I think it's just Peter who's narrating this one, though, isn't it? I think,
Yeah, I
yeah, G
think
Marsh is just playing Sarah.
I think this is when they were having problems with Jean Marsh.
Ah, because this is her final big finish as of now. She's not done
Yeah.
any more since this one.
And again, it's this is a clever thing with Simon Gurrier. He writes, the best sort of 60s style Doctor Who, like The Outliers is another fantastic early adventure. This references An Ordinary Life from series one,
Mm.
which again didn't have to. You don't need to listen to An Ordinary Life, but it's nice that there's a little link there, so it's
And I
all
think
sort of
again that's in the
interconnected.
narration as well, isn't it? Rather than the dialogue.
Yeah, when they talking about like the ice cream, yeah, yeah.
Mm. Yeah, so all wonderful stuff. And I mean, if you are interested in this one, uh, This video is coming out in January 2024, which is the same time that Big Finish are celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Sontarans as monsters via Sontarans versus Rutans. And so they've got this as their book club for the month. So all throughout the month of January 2024, this release is only $2.99. If you've not picked it up, definitely worth it for that price.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. If you're watching this after then, definitely consider it if it goes on sale again. It's currently only available as a download from bigfinish.com. So if you're a physical collector, you will have to look to secondary sources to pick this one up. I don't know how much it's necessarily going for on the
No, I can't say
aftermarket,
I do
and
either.
obviously that's subject to change as more time passes. But yeah, certainly if you're okay with download only, you can't go wrong for $2.99 on this one. 4 half-hour parts, wonderful stuff.
One
I
of
mean,
the best early adventures.
we say that a lot about a lot of
We
early
do, but
adventures.
I feel like this one definitely deserves to be there.
It is a standout. But I'm not even sure I'd say best of series three because I do love a bit of Revelli conspiracy.
I think it's my favorite series three.
Mm.
But I will say with this one, I feel like the memory cheats.
Oh, how so? What?
I think I enjoyed this story a lot more than I thought I did on this re-listen. Like I still enjoyed it, but I didn't have the same. God, this was revolutionary.
I suppose because since then, the early adventures went to even further heights for series four and five in particular.
Hmm.
Whereas I think series three had been a bit of a rocky road
Yeah,
for people. So by the time you got to Revelli and this, it stood out that much more.
but yeah, it's still very solid.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, out of 10,
Oh, 9.
yeah, I'd go 8 or 9.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a cracker.
yeah. I mean, if you've listened, sound out in the comments below. If you've not listened, don't let that deter you. Please do leave a comment as well. We'd love to hear, whether or not you're interested in picking this one up. If our review has maybe persuaded you one way or the other. I mean, hopefully it's not persuaded you not to pick it up because I don't think we've said anything
Yeah,
negative about it.
you'll deny yourself of a really good sort of action adventure. Really, it's a
Mm.
wartime sort of heist movie in a way.
Yeah, it's high stakes action adventure, really, and certainly has that very Terry Nation vibe of out of the frying pan into the fire.
Quite
And
literally
then,
in this case.
yeah, and then you're constantly repeating that cycle, really. There's always danger to be faced in one form or another as these characters journey through hostile territory. They're, like we say, very true to the 60s stories that were written by Terry Nation. And who knows, maybe there's a little Terry Nation-esque treat for you when you make it to the end of it.
That was a lovely thing.
Well, take care of yourselves, everyone. We'll see you in the next video.
Bye
Goodbye.
bye.